Well, hey guys, Long Haul Larry here. I am going to now be doing the install of this 12 volt diesel heater. One of my subscribers sent me a link, and he said, hey, you should get one of these for your truck. Every truck that I've driven, actually, every truck I've actually ever driven, except for the old Mack trucks that I drove, they all had these already installed in them. Well, Basco makes these, and there's another company I can't think of off the top of my head, but they're around $1,000, a little over $1,000, and then when you have them installed, then you got to pay for the install and stuff. You figure about $1,200-$1,300 these things are going to cost you. Thermo King is one of the companies that makes one of these and everything, and I looked at the link that the guy sent me, and basically saying that the China has basically copied these things, and now you can buy these things for really cheap. And so I did some investigation, and I found a cheap one, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to try one. The name of this one here is actually called Tabad, I want to say. It's Tabad new 12 volt air diesel fuel heater, 5 kW vehicle heater, digital switch, silencer, 5000 W for trucks, boats, bus, car, motorhomes, black. I don't know what all that means. I paid a little bit more than the other ones. There was a bunch on there that you could find for like $170 or so. I actually paid $283, as you guys see right here. The reason why I paid the $283, the little bit more for them, it was basically the same models. The only thing is that this one here I could get right away. And I needed one right away because I'm home. I wanted to get this done, and it's wintertime. Real quick, long story short, if you know me, I have gone through a divorce. I'm a truck driver. I'm gone all the time. I left, gave the house to my wife, and I had this old seasonal camper that we had some property up north, and I had brought it back, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to stay in here when I come home for a day or two, a month or whatever. I really don't need to rent an apartment, spend all that money, or buy another house or something like that. So I just do this to save up money. I just stay in here. Works fine for me. But being in Wisconsin, it can get kind of cold. And this is a seasonal camper. It's like 38 feet or whatever it is. Has a big slide out in it and everything. But it does have a propane furnace in here, and it has in-floor heating and vents and all this stuff that run throughout the whole camper and stuff. It will keep it warm in here, but when it gets cold, some of these Wisconsin winters, it gets cold, it will really struggle, and it'll burn a lot of propane. It can get quite expensive. So, knowing what the trucks, these things here, if you have one of these in your truck, basically, they say that if you idle your truck for the night, it'll burn about a gallon of fuel an hour, your semi will, to keep it running all night long. These things here, they say that they burn about a gallon of fuel for 10 hours. So that's quite a reduction. So you figure if I turn it on to help with the heating of this place and everything, and I turn it on and I run it for a night or whatever, that's 10 hours. That's like $3.50. To help heat this place. That's pretty cheap, actually. So, I mean, somebody with like a motorhome especially, I was actually talking to my parents about this. They know people that have motorhomes, and they're like got diesel engines in them and everything. This would be a great addition into them. Because like my parents, what they do in their motorhomes, they know a lot of people with motorhomes, they'll buy a separate little propane heater that they'll have like a little quick disconnect, and they'll set it out on the floor, and they'll plug it into their propane line. And when they're in really colder weather, they'll run that propane tank to get some more heat into there to help, keep the RV warm. You could be running this and run it right off your fuel tank of your vehicle, and this would keep it really warm. These things put out a lot of heat and everything. In the last video, I actually talked about mounting it right down here by the door and just sticking it right there on the floor. I kind of rethought that a little bit, and I decided I'm going to put it in a cabinet and do a real nice install in it, and then it comes with this tube that mounts on the end of it, and then all you see is this little vent thing that sticks out. It'll come out the cabinet, and you'll be able to turn this, and this directs the airflow to wherever you want it to blow. It comes with everything. I've been looking through it and everything is all good and everything. This here is a little silencer. It's almost like a little muffler. And this hooks on the exhaust tube where the hot gases exhaust outside. And you put this in there because truck drivers, you'll know, when you run these things, you'll hear them running. They'll, you know, they get real loud, they run. And you can hear them outside. So they got this here, which is a silencer. I don't know. We'll give it a try and see if the noise difference is something, but it's almost like a little muffler. And then this here is all the wire harnesses that will hook up to this, hook up to the 12 volt in the camper itself, and then it goes to this little control box right here. And I'll probably mount this someplace right up in here, right above the thermostat for the actual camper. I'll mount this right up here, and it'll be a digital readout for the temperature wise and everything. And it'll automatically shut this on and off as it needs to keep the temperature where it should be. That way I could turn my propane furnace down at night, and I could probably turn it down to like 40 or so. And I could turn this thing on and set it at like a 68 or something like that. And this thing will run most of the time and my propane won't. I do have, it comes with a fuel tank. I'll show it to you guys. And this would probably work in a lot of situations. It's just this little fuel tank right here. And this would probably work. I mean, I would think this would probably be plenty to run for a whole day or so. But I have a aluminum tank that I had on an old reefer trailer, and it's actually sitting up in the top of my barn up there. And I'll probably mount that out on my steps out there, and I think that thing holds like 30 gallons. So I can dump a bunch of fuel in there now. I won't have to keep running for fuel and everything, probably for the whole winter. Probably be enough fuel for the whole winter almost. I've been reading through the manual here, and I don't know, it's all right. It's okay. It's kind of weird. Some of this stuff is a little weird, you know. You know, when you buy something from China or something, you get this weird stuff. And then it has this. This is the exhaust tube. It's a stainless steel pipe because a lot of heat will go out through here. This is where all your fumes will go out. So this will get mounted on the floor, and then this will mount on here and go down through the floor and it'll exhaust outside. That way you won't smell any of the diesel burning inside the camper here. Same way with inside of a truck. And all the fumes and everything will get exhausted out here to the outside. And then there's also another hookup for an air inlet. And there's a hose just like this style, except the small one here. That fits on there, and that goes outside too to draw in fresh air from outside. And then on the end of it, it's got this little canister, which I found kind of neat. And it's like a little filtered canister. So that, I guess, so that you don't get bugs and stuff like that crawl up in there, and it actually comes apart. You can kind of clean it and stuff like that. So I kind of digging this thing. It's working out pretty well. I kind of like it. So basically I'll show you where I'm going to mount this thing. Well, what I've done here is I've actually taken apart my cabinets and everything. There's some supports that go in there to hold the drawers and all that stuff. And my furnace actually mounts down here. And it blows the heat down into there, which goes spreading out through the floor. But I'm actually, I'm going to mount this thing up underneath here. And I'm mount it just like that. So I don't know if you guys can see that and everything. And I'm going to mount it just like that. I'm going to mount the plate on the floor. I got my water heater right there. My furnace that's right on the right. It was easier to take out my furnace than it was to take out the water heater. And I'll be mounting the plate on the floor, and then I will drill a hole right here in this, and then that outside piece will get mounted on, and there'll be a hose that goes in between there. And when it blows the hot air out, it'll come out right here. Alright guys, we have this heater installed. I just actually drilled holes through the wood floor, and you guys can see it down inside there. And I have it mounted down through there and everything. I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm actually going to change it. I'm not really worried. Well, I am a little bit. But about going through the wood. Mainly because my camper caught on fire Thanksgiving night, as you guys know. But I've actually ran this thing probably about 20 hours now. And the wood is not discolored at all down by the exhaust or nothing else. but I'm still going to do this different. I'm going to make a metal base that this thing's going to sit on. That way it's only touching metal, and that'll be better. But I got this thing turned all the way in high, and you can see this is where the utensil drawers go. So all the drawers go back in. You won't even see this thing. You can hear it running. It basically is like a loud fan. The mic is probably a foot away from the exit on this, so it's a little loud than when you're sitting, you know, in a chair and everything else. But it has it all rigged up. This has the hole that comes out through the wall here, and then this deal will snap on the end of it, and you can spin this, and that will blow the air in whatever direction you want. Now this is turned all the way up and high, and I thought I'd give you guys a temperature reading. Let's see here. I gotta try to hold it without putting my hand in front of it because it gets pretty hot. So it's putting out right around 220, you can see. About 220 some degrees that the air is blowing out. That's pretty hot. It's turned all the way up. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's no fumes whatsoever. There's no smell, no diesel smell, there's no fumes, there's no nothing. It's all just clean air. The exhaust goes outside, and basically there's an internal combustion chamber inside this thing, and the fan just blows the air across the fins in there, and that's what blows the heat out. So I thought I'll show you guys this, but I'm going to change this around. I'll show you outside. Well, you guys can see how it's hooked up outside, and it runs on through this wood. This metal part right here is actually the exhaust tube, and it does get a little hot. So it's 180 degrees on this exhaust tube, and it's pretty close to that wood. Now I've ran this thing probably, I would say about 12 hours like this, and it has not discolored this wood whatsoever. You can see over here, this is the air that gets sucked into the intake, into the combustion chamber to help burn, to make the burn and everything, to make the heat. And it's got this little canister on the end of it that filters the air. But that's all up underneath the camper, and it's all protected from rain and everything. But this is where all your fumes go, and you can see the other little line right up in here. That is the fuel line that goes back. And there you can see it's exhausted from on here. And I mean, this pipe is about 120 or so, about 120, 130 degrees. But it hasn't discolored the wood at all. But as you guys remember on Thanksgiving night, the camper started on fire. I still haven't figured out why that happened. There's no electrical or no nothing. I think campers is involved. But we're gonna change this around. We're gonna pull this thing back out. I'm gonna shut it off because my camper is like, it's like probably about 130 degrees inside my camper right now because I got this thing running, just to show you guys. And I'm going to shut everything down, let it all cool down, and I'm going to pull this all back out. And then I'm going to cut a bigger hole in the floor and make a metal base that's going to sit down inside here. I'll show you that next. Alright guys, we have got to make a metal base to put in my floor. I've cut a hole out in the floor and gave it a bunch of room to go around it, so we're going to make ourselves a metal base that basically, it's just going to sit down in a hole that I cut in the wood floor, and it's going to make it a metal floor then. That way it gives it plenty of protection against the heat. I cut all the wood out of there. Nothing was discolored. It was probably about 3/4 of an inch away from the wood, the exhaust pipe, but I still just don't feel comfortable with it. So we're going to make this a whole metal deal. I've picked up some couple pieces of angle iron and some flat steel to put in for the top of it. They didn't sell a wide enough piece, and I didn't have time to go running around to a steel shop. I was just at the local hardware store, and they just didn't have a wide enough piece. So I'll have to just tack a piece together and just do some welding and stuff, and make it into one. Ooh, I just got a goober of grease on my glasses. So basically, the piece is going to be 10 3/4 inches long, and it needs to be 10 inches wide, and that should fit in a hole. So let's get it started and cut up the pieces. It's just cut a 45-degree angle on here. piece here. For our base. This metal that I'm using is like way overkill, but I wanted the depth of it. But it's like really thick. We didn't need to do all this. Just a couple pound heater, but like I said, I wanted the depth of it. So that's what we're using. Good. Looks good. Let's see what we're going to do is we're going to weld these here. It's a little warm. Just like that. This one on here. This one on here. And that's going to give me my hole. And then I'm going to put this plating over the top of it. And I'll have to weld two pieces together because they're not wide enough. But I'm going to put this plating over the top of it, and then I'll drill the holes in and mount the heater right on here. And this whole thing should drop into the hole that I cut into the floor of the camper. So I'm going to clean all this up, grind away some of this, give it a little angle for the weld and stuff. And then I'm going to tack it together and make sure it fits into the hole that I cut. And as long as she fits, then we're going to get going. Alright guys, we're just going to tack these together real quick. Nothing real special. I don't really put a square in there to make sure they get somewhat square, but I doubt the hole in my camper is all that square. Square. I don't think so. Pretty close. Pretty close. So we'll go try and see if it fits in there, just so it's little tacks on there to see if it sits down in there. Alright guys, well we got her all fit in there and everything is good, so now we're going to put some more tacks on it and we're going to do some welding. Get her all good to go. Alright, I just cut off our sheets here. I'm not being very precise with this stuff. Obviously, you grind all that weld off. Good to me. I'll just place it on there. Start welding. I don't really care about being perfect or nothing. And well, there it is, all done, guys. It's all plated out. You can see it's just basically this angle iron just welded together. This square is the hole in the floor, and then it's got the lips that hang over in it. And what I'll do is I'll put silicone around the hole so that when I place this down in, then it'll go down in there. And I got screw holes drilled all around it, and I'll put some wood screws down into the wood. This hole over here is actually for the wire that goes to the fuel pump. And then this plate came with it, and it was supposed to be meant for making a base that was more stable out of metal. Well, this is a lot more stable. So I used this actually just for a template for all my holes to be drilled. I drilled all the holes in there, and basically it will just sit right in there. And I'll just bolt it up from the bottom and hook up the exhaust, the intake, and put all the bolts in there. So there you guys go. So I'll throw it in the camper and we'll see you there. Alright guys, we have gotten this all installed. I thought I would show you guys. I gotta reinstall my furnace over here. I got my furnace ripped out of here so I can get in here better. But you can see the plate that's mounted down in there, the steel plate where everything goes through. I just have that wire harness that goes to the fuel pump, just some duct tape over that hole for right now. I want to make sure everything is all good and everything tests out good before I go putting it in there, and then I'll zip tie all these wires up. But I got the unit all mounted in there. You can hear it running and everything, and I thought, you know what? I'll show you the temperature. This thing puts out about 120 some degrees of air flowing out of there, and it's pretty good. It's blowing on my leg, and it's hot. It heats this camper up, just this little heater all by itself, no problem. It's pretty crazy. Right now I got the vent open. This little thing here snaps on there, see if I can do it without burning myself. And then you could turn that, you could turn it however you want so that you can direct the airflow to go up or back or whatever. So I mean, that thing is pretty good. So that's all mounted in there. I have to put all my kitchen cabinets in here, and you won't even be able to see that. I broke off this little cross piece that goes across here to hold one of these kitchen cabinets here. I broke one off. I'll have to repair that, put my drawers back in. This here is the control module. I have this hooked up right here by this kitchen cabinet right by my sink. And I have this hooked up in here. It's been pretty tricky figuring this out. The instructions are pretty bad. You know, it's a cheap thing from China and stuff like this. The one thing I do not think it does, I have not been able to figure this out. I can get a temperature, but well, I can get it over to here. I figured out how to get it over here, but it just shows me like 24 C, so 24 Celsius. I can't seem to set it up or down. Now the ones that are in the truck and stuff, those have like a digital readout. You can set them on 70 degrees or whatever, and it'll run until it gets that temperature. This one here, you know, it's cheaper. It's a lot cheaper than those ones. And what I have figured out is right now I have it on the highest setting. You can see it's been running for 16 minutes. It does a countdown or count up. And you can also set a timer so that it shuts off after a certain amount of time. You can change it and do that. But the way that I found to adjust this is you just do up or down. And see, right now it's on, and what that P stands for is pump. It's pumping at the highest, which is 5. So basically the fuel pump, it's telling the pump to run at 5. I don't know what that is, PSI or what. But it pumps so much fuel into there, and that's what makes it burn. And the fan runs hotter, it all changes and stuff. But if you turn this down, 4.8, 4.7, and you turn this down, it'll take a few minutes, but you can actually run it. You can take it all the way down to, I think, 0.01 or something. But you can, it'll take a few minutes, but then the fan will start to slow down, and it'll start to burn less, and less heat will come out. So that's how you can control the temperature. It's like 30 degrees, 35 degrees here, and I have no other heat sources going on in this camper. And I found that running this thing right about 1.8 or 1.9 or whatever, I found about running that keeps it plenty warm. I mean, it's probably 70 degrees in this camper if I run this thing. So that's pretty low. So you got quite a bit to go there and everything. And I only put this in just as a secondary heat source. The first one is my furnace. So I think this thing's gonna save me a ton of propane. Let's go take a look outside. Well, I'm outside here, guys, and you can see I got my multi plates. I'm gonna seal all this up and attach this here so no mice can get in there and everything to that plate I made. But it's all metal now up underneath there, and so nothing should get burned up or nothing. But I ran this thing for quite a bit, and it didn't have anything. This is where the exhaust comes out. And you can, this is the noisiest part, and you can actually hear it kind of spooling down a little bit. It's kind of getting less and less. That's because I turned the heat down. But this is where all your gases go. There is no gases inside this trailer. So I got this all rigged up, and I'm telling you guys, I like it. It doesn't have that temperature thing, but you know, I still like it. There you guys go. I got the heater all installed. I got to do some finishing up. Got a lot of cleaning to do in my trailer. In and out of there, and the temperature is kind of just thawing out around here, so it got mud going on, and I made a mess in there. So I got to clean all that up, and I need to clean up my shop. Got this project done, so I'm going to do some cleaning up in here and get this all cleaned back up again. I like that heater. I'll put a link down below. Like I said, I paid, I think it was $278, I want to say, for it. but you could get it for 170. It would take like 3 to 4 weeks to get it. It would come straight from China. But what this was some guy down in Illinois, and I'm guessing he bought a bunch of them, got them shipped over to him. He puts them on there, sells them for $100 more, and when you order them, you get them right through Amazon in 2 days. You know, it's a business, it's a middleman, and it was worth it to me because I wanted to get it installed and worked on it when I was off here, so I paid the extra $100. But you could get it for, you know, $170 some. You'll be able to search on Amazon and find them on there and stuff, and you know, get them for a decent price. The one thing I was thinking about, my brother was out here. One of my brothers was out here, and I showed it to him. And you know, he's got a cabin up north. I got another brother that's got a cabin up north. I sent video links to those guys of some of the short little videos I took of them. The one brother, he does a wood stove in his place, and I was thinking, boy, if he could install it, he's got like a sunroom thing. He could install one out there, put a tank outside. When they go to bed at night, they wouldn't have to keep the fireplace going and stuff. Just run this thing during the night, you know, run it 8-10 hours a night, and it would heat up pretty much their cabin. That thing kicks out a lot of fuel. And my other brother that was out here, he's got a cabin up there too, and he's got a garage. And it's not an insulated garage, and it's probably about a car and a half garage. And a lot of times in the winter, he'll pull his snowmobiles in there, maybe have to work on a few things or something. And he usually he carries his kerosene heater, like that thing, that turbo heater thing. He carries that up there with him when he goes snowmobiling, and he'll take it up there so that he has it up in his garage and he can heat the snowmobiles up so it melts all the ice. And he was like, "Hey, I could put one of these things in my garage." I think that would be an awesome idea. I think that would be a really good idea for like a garage heater and stuff like that. That thing really pumps out the heat, guys. It would work awesome in something like that. And the fuel usage is so minimal. I don't have it hooked up to my tank yet and everything. I just have a 5-gallon can of diesel, and I just fed the line down into it, and I'm just sucking diesel out of there. And I bet you, in all the testing and hooking up and all the stuff, and the time I've ran it, it's probably been 10 to 12 hours. And I picked up the jug, and it doesn't even feel empty, you know, like it's used any at all. It's probably used maybe half a gallon to 2 gallon. That's about it. A lot of people have sent me comments about it when I put the first video out of opening up the box and everything. CO2 detectors and all this other stuff. Well, the camper is not sealed. You know, there's leakage, air leakage, all this other stuff. You know, it's not sealed up, so I'm not too worried about that at all. And there is no fumes or nothing like that. I could see maybe doing a CO2, but the thing is, they put these in these trucks, and there's no fumes, there's no gases in the trucks either. But the trucks aren't sealed up either. I'm not too worried about it at all. Now that I got the metal plate in there, that really makes me not worry about it in a fire issue, because that was my biggest worry. So there you go. There it is, all hooked up, and I think that's going to be really useful. I think that's going to be a great thing for me. Another thing that I have to do in the camper is my refrigerator went out. I don't know what it was. It's original. It's many. I've had a camper a long time, guys. And it's got one of those refrigerators in it that runs off of propane, and it also runs off electricity. So if you don't have electricity, you can use propane to keep it cool. I don't really see ever using that again. I really never ever used the propane option. You know, when we weren't there and didn't have it hooked up to electricity, then, you know, we take everything out that could possibly get damaged, and we just, you know, popped a little piece of something in the door to keep the door open, and that's the way we left it. And then when we came in, we shut all the doors and turned it on to electricity. So I'm not going to go order one of those gas ones, because, man, those things are super expensive. But I did find a refrigerator at Menards, and it's probably, I would say probably maybe about 3/4 the size of a regular refrigerator. Nothing fancy to it or nothing. It's like $200, and it'll fit into that hole. I gotta do a little finessing to get it in there, but that'll probably be my next project in the camper and stuff. And I got some other things. I'm going to put some sheeting around the outside of it so wind doesn't get up underneath it. Been planning all that stuff. You guys might see videos around here. You'll see a big stack of foam, of sheet foam. That's what that's for. And to insulate my sliding door here in the shop here. So there we go, guys. I'll let you guys go. I hope everyone out there is having themselves a great day, a great night when you're watching this here video. And if you are not, we certainly could try it all over again tomorrow. I'll catch you guys later. By the way, again, Merry Christmas. And don't forget about the drone video. I'm going to give you guys till next Thursday. And then I'll do the drawing, which will be, let's see, today is the 20th. So 7 days, so the 27th, I guess it would be. So the night of the 27th, I'll shut the contest down and pick a winner. See you later. Bye.